Hello, you beautiful individuals. We are back again with another Kent Hovind video because that's the videos that for some reason seem to get views. So that's I guess that's what I'll focus on for now. Now, I mean, obviously I will do other stuff too, but so screw it. People want to see Hovind for whatever reason, then that's what I'll give them. We're actually so we watched AJ's video. I don't know what it was, maybe a week ago. An old video of his where it was Kent Hovind's worst debate moments. I really enjoyed it. And then this one popped up, and I haven't seen this one either. And it's volume 2. So I figure let's watch this one. The last one was pretty funny. I was hoping this one will be as well. I'm not going to get through the whole thing, of course. It's 28 minutes. The last one was only like 11. And if I react to this whole thing, especially with me not being able to go more than like 2 seconds without stopping, yeah, we would we'd be here for a long time. And before we get started, I get so many comments, usually from religious people, that ask why I, focus on Hovind and all that crap, and just why I care, and also, things like I need to, like Hovind's a great teacher and I'm a piece of shit and blah blah blah, which I am, and I am an idiot, but still, my thing is, see, Hovind is he's a worm, a parasite actually, that feeds on the rotten parts of people's minds. He chews pieces of their tongue until the only thing left they can speak is lies left behind within the holes he ate through their brains. He is just a disgusting individual who lies, cons people, and does all of this for financial gain. And not only does he misrepresent and lie about science, he misrepresents and lies about the religion that, a lot of these religious people comment and say things, against me for whatever reason. Because they're all upset and whatnot, which is fine. Like, I honestly, most of them are pretty funny. So, I mean, keep them coming. But yeah, that's why. Because he's a parasite. And parasites should be eradicated. So, anyway, let's jump into it.
Science is things we can observe, study, test, demonstrate, etc. You can even take a creature with a very short generation time, like an amoeba. I think they grow up, get married, have kids in 20, 30 minutes. It's not, maybe not amoeba, but they divide in half. But there's those that do.
He always has to do that. Grow up, have kids, whatever thing, like, or get married, have kids. And someone, I said this before, and someone pointed out, and he was like, I don't know, they said something about he says it that way to say it in a, I guess, more polite way for children or something. Just say reproduce. I mean, dear Lord, for one, an amoeba, I could be wrong, but I don't think do they reproduce? Aren't they, asexual? I definitely could be wrong. I have no idea. And either way, he always says amoeba, and I think that's like the only single-celled organism he knows. But really, he just means protists in general. But anyway, let's keep going.
By conjugal replication, it's designed. Get over it. Just common sense would tell you that. So
yeah, but see, that's the problem. We don't use common sense for science because that's dumb. Like, if you use common sense in your worldview, a lot of the times you're going to end up like those flat earth morons. Because if you look out, go to Nebraska, Kansas, whatever, look out into the horizon, the world looks pretty darn flat. It just does. Like, those are very flat states. But guess what? If you zoom out a bit, get out into space, on the space station, or even farther away, onto the moon, you'll notice the world isn't flat. It's a globe. So common sense is not... you don't use common... I mean, I'm not saying you can't use any common sense in science, obviously. But you don't rely on common sense for scientific discoveries and theories. Like, it's just... those two things are not going to go together very often. Because science is weird. The universe is weird. I mean, just how things work. Anyway.
Don't observe the animal producing anything other than its kind.
So Kent said that I've never seen a non-cow come from a cow. Now, I've never seen a non-Kent come from a Kent, like his son specifically, but I can still show that his son is his son because, like,
I like that analogy. It makes sense. You know, essentially any parent. Again, it's I just hate that Kent does this nonsense of, you know, you don't see a non whatever come from a non whatever. It's not how it works. It's not how evolution says things will work. I mean, they are very small. I mean, minute mutations over a very large amount of time. And I think the thing Kent struggles with is he just doesn't grasp the concept that every mutation contains new information. So every time something mutates, there is something new about it. I mean, genuinely every, you know, pretty much every whatever offspring has some form of new information, or else it'd be obviously identical to the parent. But still, those mutations build up over time. And eventually you get to the point where the creature, animal, organism, whatever, is not what it originally, it's not the same species that its parents were. It couldn't reproduce with its parental species. Not its parents specifically, just the species that its parents were. But again, these are mutations that gradually, very slowly take place over a vast amount of time. And again, I know Kent's allergic to time, but it's just how the universe works, man.
I can look for patterns in the DNA. So even though I've never seen, I didn't see Eric being born. I didn't see Kent impregnate his wife. I have no idea these things happen. I've never directly
I was gonna say something mean, but we won't.
observed them. But I can still prove his son is related to him by looking at patterns in his DNA, because there are specific mutations that only exist in Kent's DNA, and we can find those patterns in his offspring, because the way offspring are formed is by the mutation of those cells reproducing and creating the same patterns in his offspring as in him. Now,
and not only that, you could go back and see the entire lineage of the Hovind gene pool and go back even farther. And that's how it works. I mean, that's why they say, you know, our DNA can be very similar to, you know, a lot of primate species or even plants and other animals and stuff. These, our DNA with our parents, or just with humans in general, are obviously very similar. I mean, they're not an exact match, obviously, or else we'd be the exact same organism. There's changes, but very, 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 very similar. But the thing is, our DNA is also rather similar with pretty much all living creatures, plants, animals on Earth. And it's because, believe it or not, we all share a common ancestor. Now, obviously, there are a lot of differences too. But those similarities, I mean, you can trace them back as far back as your heart desires, all the way back to that single-celled organism that first formed on the, you know, molten rock of Earth about, whatever, 3.5, 4 billion years ago.
luckily, the same process has happened throughout all life, and so we can see the same mutation patterns in different species and know they're related in the exact same way we can know Kent has a son, even though we've never seen a non-Kent come from a Kent.
Tom, you are muddying the water by saying a parent produces a kid. Let's say an adult human produces a miniature human.
Sure.
That's still a human. Whoa, whoa, whoa. The theory that God said they're always going to bring forth after their kind, when that's what we observe, that's a rational theory. All we've ever seen is amoeba produce amoeba and dogs produce dogs, and they don't ever change.
Well, that's again post hoc rationalization. That's not a prediction. That's people that are goat herders 2,000 years ago looking around them and saying what happens, and then they wrote it down in a book. That's not a prediction. That's a post-diction. So that's not evidence. That's goat herders writing down what they observe.
Man, maybe it's just me, but man, Hovind, I don't think he liked that. I don't think he liked that comment at all. Looks like he got a little butthurt by that one. But I mean, it's true. It's just, it was, you know, ancient people just writing stories down in the book, trying to make sense of the world around them the best they could with the technology and tools they had at hand and the observations they could make. I mean, they don't have what we have today. Like, our technology and understanding of the world and the universe is far greater than it was 2,000 plus odd years ago. And in 2,000 years from now, if we're, still around as a species, it'll make us look like the goat herders. I mean, they'll be miles ahead of us.
Yeah. And some moron walking around the islands because he can't get a real job named Charlie Darwin sees a bunch of birds, produce a bunch of birds, and says, wow, this proves everything's created. You want to make fun of the goat herders, man. You like to make fun of your stupid religious leader, Charlie Darwin, too.
Oh, wow. Yeah, he really did not like that. That was, wow. He got all kinds of butthurt by that. And again, this Charlie Darwin, dude, the entire basis of evolution it doesn't just ride on Charles Darwin's shoulders. You act like he's the only person that's ever studied or made a theory or anything about this. Dude, he had a theory, and now countless people have went ahead of him and continue to build upon and work on that theory and continue to prove it viable. But Hovind would rather rely on a book written a couple thousand years ago by a bunch of goat herders.
Okay.
Well, that's I agree with you there. So what Darwin said wasn't evidence. What Darwin said was a theory, and then the evidence was when his theory was confirmed. He predicted things and he got it right, and that was the evidence. So his predictions aren't anything, but at least he made predictions about things we didn't know yet, and then once he got those right, they were proven correct. That's the evidence, which didn't happen for the Bible. They didn't.
Where's the scientific evidence that an amoeba turned to a human?
Well,
there's no one ever has said this. You don't just, yes, do we share some kind of common ancestor? Sure. But no one just said, oh, an amoeba one day turned into this. Like, that's not how it works. That's not what anyone says or believes. You're just a moron.
The kids are being taught that. Where's the science?
I've already answered that many times, and I was correct with all of my answers before. But
all we ever see is amoeba produce amoeba.
Which I've already explained. I never see a Kent produce a non-Kent, but I can still prove it. Again, you keep being confused because you think you need to directly observe this. I mean, we can directly observe macroevolution in lab. We have done this, but you don't accept that. So it's not really, I can prove that too, but we don't need to. Like, you keep saying, we haven't observed a non-cow come from a cow. Well, I haven't observed a non-Kent come from a Kent. I don't need to. I can prove a Kent can produce a non-Kent, and I don't need to observe it. So that's your argument. You've never observed. One second. You never.
Thank God you don't have to observe that happening.
I'm not understanding what you're saying. Are you saying a Kent, K-E-N-T, or a kid, K-I-D?
Kent, Kent Hovind, Kent. A Kent produces a non-Kent.
Why would you be confused about that, man? I mean, for one, he was speaking clearly. But even if, you do struggle with hearing, why would he be saying a kid? Like, what?
Kent produces Eric. Eric is not Kent. Kent produces a non-Kent.
And that is your evidence that an amoeba turned to a human?
No,
Tom, what planet are you living on anyway, son?
No, that's not my argument here. Is that your argument is silly, and I can prove your argument is silly. So your argument is that we've never seen.
I don't think you will find a sane person in the world who will believe what you just said.
Let me try to explain here. So your argument is that we've never seen a cow produce a non-cow.
Now
let me take that argument. I'm going to reframe the structure here and use the exact same structure of your argument, and let's see how silly your argument is. I've never observed a Kent produce a non-Kent, just like I've never observed a cow produce a non-cow. But I can still prove both in the exact same way by looking at the DNA. I can look at the DNA of your kids and compare it to yours and be like, oh, look, a Kent has produced a non-Kent. There's evidence of this. So I can believe that a Kent, has produced a non-Kent.
Even though, I do understand what he's going for here. The problem is Hovind's just going to keep going around in circles with this. And the only reason I am not slightly a fan of it is just because I'm surprised Hovind didn't say it, but he could still say it, maybe he did, and I don't know. Anyway, he can just go back to it's a human producing a human, which is dumb either way. But I don't know. That's the problem with these debates against Hovind. Like, nothing's ever going to work. It's not going to click in his mind. Even if it did, even if somehow you got something, the brain cells to act in the correct way in Hovind's brain to make him fully understand and grasp this concept, it wouldn't matter because he's never going to stop doing what he does. It's how he makes his money. It's how he feels powerful. It's how he grows his little cult.
Non-Kents by looking at the evidence, just like I can prove that a cow or an amoeba has produced a non-amoeba by looking at the DNA evidence. So I can be justified in both without ever having to see a Kent produce a non-Kent, because I can look at the DNA, which is the evidence. So I don't need to see a Kent produce a non-Kent. I just need to see the DNA.
Right. I think we are watching visible evidence that our public school produces morons.
Well, I mean, I didn't go to public school, so I think you've lost.
Okay.
They ask you how you are, and you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine.
All right.
That was very funny. But my dude, like, you just don't understand DNA in any way, shape, or form. And how are you going to dog him about his schooling? Even if he did go to public school, my dude, you have a fake doctorate. You claim to be a doctor, and you didn't even go to an actual college, let alone any kind of, PhD program or anything. I mean, you just went to a diploma mill and then also gave yourself a doctorate or two or something. I mean, you're just.
Right. Well, thank you so much for doing this, James. It sounds like you're a Aaron Nelson, Aaron Rod disciple, and you're reading script straight from his website. I don't know if that's true or not, but it sounded awful familiar. I've seen it before.
Well, I mean, even if it is true, at least he's reading from somebody's script that, knows how the world works, knows reality, doesn't just get all his information from an outdated fairy tale book. All right, anyway, as much as I do want to keep going with this one, I think we're going to stop here. I think I'm going to come back to this one for tomorrow. Maybe. If not tomorrow, because I want to do something that's not Hovind. So I don't know. Maybe I'll do something not Hovind tomorrow and then come back to this the next day or whenever I make a video again after that. I'm not sure. Anyway, I will come back to this though, because I do like these. It's just a nice little compilation and gives me different things to react to. Like, it's not just the same video of the same idea of Hovind. It's like a little more spread out, and it's funny. And most importantly, it's done by, Atheist Jr., and he has an amazing channel. You should definitely check him out. This video and his channel will be linked below, of course. So go watch it. Go watch him. Go watch his debates. He's a absolutely hilarious person. The first video I reacted to of his, it was a while back, like a year or so ago. It was like he dressed up like Hovind. It freaking killed me. I mean, it was so funny. But anyway, so shout out to AJ for all the amazing work he does. And yeah, please like, comment, subscribe, hit the bell for the ring-a-ling-ding thing, and until next time.